Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Carlton People. Today I have got I'm going to call her a Blue Abroad OG. She has been in the comments and she has been a supporter for a very long time, and we thought it would be, there is not a better time to chat than right now that we've got some calm about us. Maddy, welcome.
Hey Terry.
How is everything going in your world?
Pretty good, getting by through this lockdown.
Yeah, getting by through this lockdown. We're almost out. We've got an off season now for our mighty Blues. We've got the AFLW coming up, but I think this time, as I said before, it's a bit more of a calm time. We're not as worked up from the week to week of the games, right?
I think the fact that we got our trade period quite quickly, I think it, especially after last year when it went down right to the last minute or so. So getting it done is, again, getting the coach in. Everything seems to be done quickly and smoothly this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on the new crop, the new coaches, the new direction in a moment. But I think we should get a bit of a backstory. So let's hear it. How did you become a Carlton supporter? Where did it all begin?
I think, like most people, family. My great grandmother is the matriarchy, the big, absolute Carlton, got the little shrine in the house, absolutely everything. And then everyone just kind of trickled down and followed from there. But my first memory, when I was little, about 6 or 7, I got really sick. I was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
So, and I've gotten to a point where I was like in isolation and really had to have a bone marrow transplant, sort of cut off from everything. And I suppose it was probably mostly to annoy my dad at the time, because what else am I going to do? I decided I was going to go for Collingwood.
Is that how it is?
Sorry to give anyone a heart attack or something, but I learnt the theme song on the keyboard. I had the scarf. I decided just to go for Collingwood to probably annoy everyone else, but that probably lasted a year or so, just mostly out of annoyance for everyone.
Okay, so you were trying to send a message, not to mess with you, otherwise you'd become a Collingwood supporter. So deep down, you always were a Carlton supporter, and you never really felt the love for Collingwood.
Not really. It was, when I was born, my great grandmother had like a little knit jumper, and it had like the Carlton logo on it. So it's always been in the family. It was probably just a phase.
Yeah, a phase. No, we all go through them. We do. So, wow, that's a fascinating story. I had no idea about the backstory there. So how far back does your memory go? Like, what's your earliest memory of watching Carlton, whether it be at the footy or on TV? Like, how far back can your memory go?
I suppose it was sort of always in the family, and it was on the weekends if, say, Dad was watching or on the radio. But my love for Carlton didn't really start till, I'd say, a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Mostly when I was like late high school, early 20s, started really getting into it myself. And it wasn't sort of like forced or like the family thing. It was like my sort of decision, which, I suppose now that we've come into this phase of we're actually going somewhere and it doesn't feel so heartbreaking as like 2018 did. It sort of feels better being a Carlton supporter now rather than, like, it was always in the family and growing up and on, but it was never my thing or something I loved.
Yeah,
not as much as I do now.
Yeah, so you develop your own story with it. Even like obviously, I can relate to that. Like my mum passed Carlton down to me.
Yeah,
she was never as passionate as me. I then grew to you know, it served a different purpose in my life as a child, which was really important and is really important to me. So yeah, I can definitely relate. And at the end of the day, like we do have to have our own story with it, and our own memories. So who were the first few players that you latched onto as the ones you really went, every time you'd watch, you'd be looking out for them?
I suppose Judd was the biggest one, like, the captain, the big savior sort of thing.
Sounds familiar.
And then I suppose Murphy, Favola, those kind of players, like the big sort of what was getting people to Carlton, those sort of names.
Do you remember when Judd first got to Carlton?
No.
Okay. So I was in year 12, his first year at Carlton. And the reason why I asked is because I remember, I'll never forget going to the footy, probably for the first 2 years that he was at the club. Every time he'd touch the ball, there would be like a roar, like kind of like when Eddie Betts gets the ball, there's like that buzz in the crowd. It's just something I'll never forget with Juddy. And there are very few players that have the ability to get people excited watching them play like he does, or how he did, I should say.
Yeah, he's that sort of big name. I was given like a big poster from him. It wasn't from him, but it was of him.
Mm-hmm.
It was gifted to me years ago, and it's sort of just in the garage right now. It's not really anywhere to put it.
Okay.
But
Hey,
yeah.
I know exactly. I've got plenty of room in this studio. I can handle it. No, you should hold on to it. That's what you should do. You should hold on to it. It'll become a very important piece one day when you're looking at it. Okay. So Judd, Fev, Murphy, that's rebuild number one. We're in we're in the next phase of a rebuild. We're in the next one, and I don't know, 2022 and onwards. I don't know. This is now being called a reset of the rebuild. I don't know. Let's talk a bit about it. So, what are you seeing at the moment? Where are we at? You said you're excited about where we're going, which is not something you felt as much 5 years ago. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. When they brought Tegan, it was like bringing in another interim coach, and it's like you changed one person, but nothing really changed. But I think just sort of cleaning out, starting again from top to bottom. So in terms of not just players, but the president, the CEO, the coach, the assistants, just everyone starting again. That's what got me excited, because it finally felt like, okay, there is an actual change instead of just little ones here and there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also further to that, Teague was already part of the group. So he was already there. And I do wonder what really changed. Because I remember when he was caretaker, there was a notion of, I just want everyone to play with freedom. Just play to your strengths, play with freedom, do a little bit more of what we have been doing anyway, look to score more and whatnot. But yeah, this time around, there's no formed relationships with Teague beforehand as of what there is with Voss. Like it's everyone is now on a fresh slate, which is also why I found it interesting that guys like Samo wanted to leave, because it was an opportunity to have a fresh start and whatnot. But we'll talk about that maybe another time. So yeah, I'm with you. A fresh slate, a new panel of coaches and new voices on the field, off the field. What's got you most excited about what's coming?
I think it's the new coach in Voss. I watched the Dynasty video, or the documentary that they put out, and 5 minutes into it, I can see a lot of Voss in Lee Matthews. I can see a lot of Patrick Cripps in Voss, and that changing. And it was just it clicked immediately just watching that. It was like there is something there that we as a club can relate to, and you can see the environment that Voss and Luke Powers were in, and how that especially because they played together. Them working together is a really exciting concept. Like seeing how that pans out.
I think so too. I couldn't agree more with you in what I saw. Now, being Carlton fans, we'll find any reason to join the doc. Like I remember watching the Amazon doco at the start of 2020, and I remember saying, "Oh, I watched it," and what I took away from it was that David Teague's definitely the man for the job, the way he speaks. But no, I'm with you. There is something in that. The first thing I noticed was, the environment that Voss and Power had been in, and being able to pass down that message, but the other thing was about Cripps, because I'm with you. I see a bit of Michael Voss in Patrick Cripps, in that, Voss was like the captain, the enforcer, the contested ball winner and whatnot. And I think Cripps can absolutely become, a shade of that or a mold of that moving forward.
Yeah.
I think Voss will be able to say, hey, this is what I did when I was captaining the team. And I'm with you. I think there is a lot that we can learn from. And then when you look at Voss's experience, obviously head coach straight away at the Lions, talked about how it was probably a little too early, then went and did his time, as they say, and it's kind of cool because like he's had short, setbacks or little failures along the way, which I think are important building blocks for success. And so is this group. They've had a lot of failures along the way, a lot of shortcomings. So I think together there is a real unity with them.
Yeah, I think when Lee Matthews said that, he wanted to get to know the players, but then that first day of training, he sort of the lock the door kind of mentality. I can see that happening. Like Voss is getting to know the players now and chatting with them, and he's in the club, but first day back, let's go. Like,
yeah, that's it.
I'm not taking this sort of, especially after this year, this sort of, see how we go sort of thing. I don't think he'll take some of the crap that went on this year.
Yeah. And you know what's hard? The hard part for us fans is we don't know what's going on the inside, and we never will. We never will understand. And that's okay. That's sacrosanct. That's what happens on the inside. But what we do get is we get a little window into the environment that the players are in based on how they play, how they talk, how their body language is. And it kind of tells you what they're getting away with, behind the closed doors or inside the four walls, because how you train and how you operate when no one's watching is how you operate when people are watching. There are little signs that you can tell. And 2021, I mean, I don't think anyone saw it being as disappointing as what it was. It just never got going. Like we were behind the 8 ball 0-2, then we caught up 2-2, then it was 2-4, then it was kind of 3-4. Like we never kind of got going, and ultimately that's why we're at, where we are today with a new coach and essentially a new philosophy, because it wasn't working. And I'm with you in that. I like the fact that decisions were made and they were hard decisions to be made, but ultimately we needed a change, and we did the proper change,
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some of your favorite moments, games, memorable ones, things that stand out for you. Like, because I think everyone's got a few certain experiences at the footy where you really remember. What are the standouts for you?
Well, for a lot of years, I was like in high school, I didn't really care about football. I was in my own world, and it was there, but I didn't really care. And then late teens, early 20s, I started getting into it. So my first game was actually the 2019 St Kilda game.
Wow, that was a vibe.
Yeah, it's a good game to be the first game.
Yeah.
It was Patrick Cripps' 100th. It was like I still have that like poster thing of 100 Cripps, and it was a really good atmosphere that day.
It was. I have not been to an atmosphere like that since that day. Obviously, 2020 we had lockdowns and COVID. 2021 we got to go to a few games. Yeah. None of the games had that vibe, and there's something in that. we had sacked Bolton, Teague had come on, then there was this era of, okay, we're building to 2022. And I think part of why we're so frustrated in 21 is because there's no feeling of, oh, we got better. Oh, we're on the right track. Whereas back then it was like, we're coming. Look out. 2020 is the year. So that was special. We were both teams were out of the finals race. I'm pretty sure Jones was out that week and Wiedering was a late out and they put Levi back. Like, I'm pretty sure there were a few things against us that day, and that was a very special day. And that sucks you in. That's the special thing about the club and the fans and the atmosphere, where we're very unique.
Yeah, I think because it was just a really good day, and like it seemed Carlton, like especially after the last 2 years, like there hasn't been that atmosphere this year because everyone's sort of in your own groups and sort of blocked off, and you can't get around people as much. And then obviously last year there was nothing, so.
Yeah. Well, who are some of the up and comers that you see, coming through? Because we've really had a changing of the guard in 2021. Murphy, Betts, Casbolt, I've seen them playing for Carlton in most games that I remember in my life. And that's completely gone now. All three all three have their own individual story, and they're all long and illustrated and whatnot. And now it's kind of like, okay, it's your club, Walsh, Wiedering, Mackay, the rest. So who are some of the guys that you look at now to help lead us forward?
I think, well, first of all, Jack Silvani is, as it's always been said and always will be, the heart and the soul. So he's sort of that. Now that Betts is gone and Murphy's gone, I think he's the one to take that leadership of running the club, like not necessarily being captain or huge role, but the heart and the soul. And then Walsh, obviously. I think I like Matthew Owies. I think he's one of those stories that like really working for it and really trying to get in. He had one game last year, got out, really had to fight back in this year, has managed to, I think, really take on that Betts sort of role and what we need. And it's a hard role to take on. So
it is, because the ball's not getting kicked to you. You've got to create your own momentum. You've got to create your own energy, your own pressure, and let it rub off. I really like what you said about Jack Silvani. I think you're spot on. I think he's not necessarily, the captain or the guy that does the speeches or anything like that, but he is Carlton, and you need someone who gets it. I think Murphy has been that for a long time. Like, whenever we play in the rivalry games, like he would always step up. He would know, and I think you're spot on. I think Jack Silvani is absolutely he's also kind of like the link between the past and the present. It's a very unique situation, and it's also very, the whole father-son thing is a very unique principle to the sport. And when it comes off the way it has with the Silvanis, it's good. Where do you see him playing his best footy? Because he can really do quite a few things.
I like him forward. I'm not so sure about him being ruck all the time. There's just something I don't like about it. But as you said, with the rivalries, I think he's, especially after last year's game, which was so emotional and so important, he's really taken on that Murphy role of when the rivalries play. He's like, okay, but it's Collingwood. We gotta beat him. But especially considering that Serge's first game was Collingwood, and that Silvani's next game was Collingwood. It was just so emotional and such a kind of game.
It's poetic. Yeah, it is. It's a special one. It's good. It's and we've got quite a few years with him still to come. Like, we've got veteran or Carlton veterans now who are our most experienced players, who are not really that old in their own careers anyway. It's very interesting. What about the women? I've seen you a few times at the AFLW games. How do you enjoy the women?
I only really got into it last year, which
Yeah.
was probably more because there was no men's game on or there was nothing on. There was
Mm.
finally something to go
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I took a bunch of photos at some of the games and just really got into it because there was something on. It was way to go. I think I love Darcy Vesio. I think she's great.
Mm-hmm.
At the Bulldogs game that we went to, I remember it. She was taking like a pocket goal. It was before the game started. I still remember it. My dad said to her, she's like, Bets would be proud of you. And it was just this sort of thing of like taking that pocket goal and
Mm-hmm.
moving it into, the women's and the new age.
Yeah, it's quite cool. I'm with you. I started watching sort of towards the end of 2019, 2020, watched a little bit more. And then obviously last season got into it. Yeah, I'm with you. It was, first of all, something to do, but also any excuse to go back to Princess Park and watch footy there and watch Carlton there. And ultimately, it's part of the club. The women are a part of the club. And I think slowly but surely, you got to sort of develop this connection to the players by watching them more. And Darcy V is an interesting one because she started off really well, had some lean years, and then last year was really just, at her best again. And she's a special story, and she's a good human as well. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching the women play and represent the club. And I think when you have little stories like Abby McKay, for example, daughter of Andrew, when you see little things like that and little links, I think it'll take some time, but I think slowly but surely we're building layers of memories with them, and hopefully they can win a flag soon, and then that'll kickstart things off. But it's I feel like it's only going to get bigger, and it's only going to get more enjoyable. And I think also like we're now going to have a new stadium essentially to go to because they're doing the redevelopment. So for us as fans, like that's an opportunity to forge some new memories there.
It's nice that it's like the old and the new.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're rebuilding it, but it's still Icon Park. It's
Yeah.
still got that old feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, when we went, you could feel this kind of the history and what it meant to be Carlton there.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I have a few little flashbacks from going in the 90s. I don't really remember being there and having, vivid memories, but I do remember flashes of being there. And every time I go back, like I remember when I got back from overseas, first thing I did when I got back was go to Carlton and, walk in, see the premierships, and yeah, you feel it. It's a very special place. So, so I've got to ask you, because I ask everyone, when is this next Premiership Cup being lifted? We're going to look at this video in a decade from now and see if we were on the track or not.
24, 25.
Okay.
We need to. I think we need to make finals a few times first.
I'm with you. I know that the Bulldogs did it quickly and whatnot, but I feel like you've got to feel the pain, like the hard pain, before you can ultimately climb the mountain. You've got to, and the quicker we get into finals, the quicker we can learn from this pain. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I know Richmond did it. Like, came what? Someone said they came 13th in 2015 or 2016. And then won the premiership the next year. And it's like, yes, that would be nice, but you kind of need to.
You do. You've got to build the battle scars. No, I'm with you. 2024, 2025. So finals 2022, is that a must?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't, there is something wrong within the players because we've changed everything. We've bought in everything. There's something really wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, Maddy, listen, I've really enjoyed this chat. First of all, I want to thank you for sharing your story. And secondly, I want to thank you for just being a part of it, being a part of the community, Thanks for coming on the fan cams and getting amongst it. And it's been really good to chat with you.
Thanks, Terry.
Go Blues, hey?
Go Blues.